Hello, I'm Hal Lublin.
And I'm Mark Gagliardi.
Since the dawn of humanity, one issue has gone unsettled. With the fate of the world in the balance, we're here to settle, once and for all, Clean Slate.
That's right. Don't worry, everyone. We got this.
Podcasts should have a theme song. Podcasts should not have a theme song. Yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. They sound good. Yeah, but people are just going to skip past it. You know what? You're right. We got this.
Which Clean Slate number is this?
I think we're in the 40s by now.
666.
What? The devil himself is here to clean.
Oh, no. Hey, guys. Clean Slate 69.
High five.
You get it?
This is Clean Slate XXX 420 69
Put the
XXX.
kids to bed. It's time to clean the slate.
People of the world.
At night.
You may be hearing a voice that sounds very familiar to you if you've ever listened to a podcast. It's our dear friend, Travis McElroy. Travis,
Hi.
What is up?
Hi, it's me. It's Travis McElroy. Hey, everybody.
Thanks for coming, buddy.
Yeah.
Do you remember that period of time where it was like, oh, we got this popular TV show. We want to make a spin-off of it. I know. We'll just call it blank Nights. And I think now that I'm saying that, they might have only done that with Baywatch.
You know what else they did it for? They did it for the in-room Walt Disney World vacation channel that told you what time what rides were, where to go. Like, it's like, hey, you've never been to Disney World before. Go ride this, go do this. And then they had a segment in it that was Disney World Nights. This was in the mid 90s.
I don't know if it still happens. Probably not in the current pandemic, but there's this thing in LA called Channel 101 where it was like, bring in your like 10-minute long episodic things.
You shot pilots. I was in one.
Yeah. And if the audience votes it through, it goes to the next week. And there was one that was called Your Magic Touched Me, about a magician who would go through and change people's lives. And then they made, after that, didn't make it past 1 week, they made a sequel series called Your Magic Touched Me Nights, in which now the magician was a magician and worked for like a CSI kind of thing. And he solved all the crimes with magic. It was absolutely incredible. I think it's still on YouTube.
Channel 101, I think it blew up some people. Like it blew up Dan Harmon,
Lonely Island.
Oh yeah.
Lonely Island blew up Dan Harmon.
It's Drunk History kind of was from that same group. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. That was like you would go live. I did a show like 2 doors down from where they would hold the party every month, where they would air the pilots and then people would vote, and your pilot either got picked up, you got to keep going, or you were canceled and you had to come up with something else. But it was really creative stuff that came out of there.
Anybody listening to this, if you've never seen it, go to YouTube and search Yacht Rock. And it's about
Yacht Rock is perfect.
Michael McDonald and Kenny Loggins together, like on adventures writing songs. It's absolutely amazing. But it was the first usage of the term yacht rock. Like that's where the term yacht rock comes from, was that series. And it's also great. I think that's another reason it blew some people up, is because like it was early days of YouTube, where it was like, well, we're already shooting something, we'll put it on YouTube. And this idea of like, scripted, well-made content was like what YouTube was really hungry for at the time. This has nothing to do with this show. Hi, I'm Travis McElroy, a professional podcaster, and I'm sitting here rambling about something this show has nothing to do with.
Look, Travis,
not only
if
that,
you listen to this show, and I hope that many of the people listening have, they will know that most of the time we spend on this show rambling. So I think there's no problem with that.
Okay, fair.
But we're not here to talk about rambling.
Wait, before we get into this.
We are going to ramble. We are going to ramble.
Mark, how dare you, after all these years, try to move this podcast forward when I am throwing an anchor in this to stop us for a second. Travis, for those of you who are not in the know, you know this, Travis. I'm telling everybody else. I'm just using your name to set this up. Is part of the first family of podcasting, that being the McElroy family. And the 3 brothers, Justin, Travis, and Griffin, have a book that is out today called Everybody Has a Podcast Except You, a how-to guide from the first family of podcasting that you can now buy and have sent to you, or you can get it. I assume you can get it for Kindle as well.
Oh yeah. We got the ebook, we got the paper, we got audiobook too that we read. And there's some stuff in there where they said, like, just kind of riff for a little bit. And we're like, you got it. So there's some added BS in there.
So it's a 70-hour audio.
Yeah, right? And there's an audio chapter in the book that was written by our wives about researching because they are the responsible ones in our podcast. So they read that chapter too. I believe the intro is read by our dad and written by our dad. So like in the audiobook, you'll hear all of us in there too. And if you're listening to this on the 26th, tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we are doing a free event, book launch video live stream thing. You can find out more and you can order it from independent bookstores if you go to bit.ly/McElroy podcast book event. And if it's after the 26th, you can still go to bit.ly/McElroy podcast book and order it there. It's very good. It's fun. And I'll teach you how to make a show that you are proud of.
There you go. Well, let's make a show that we're going to be proud of and
we'll see.
Slate.
I don't know.
A small topic. You know, at the end, the last topic we'll discuss is this a show that we can be proud of?
Did we do a good job? Yay or nay?
How did we do? Let's start with Jenna Yamada, our good friend.
Hello, Jenna.
Podcast.
I vote yes on Jenna. What do you think, Mark?
You know what? I'm going to say yes, but that's 2 out of 3, but it needs to be unanimous.
Okay, how?
I've spent a lot of time weighing my conscience. It's really heavily weighing on me all week as I thought about this. Mm-hmm. But I think ultimately I have to go with what's in my heart, not in my head.
Yeah.
And I will also vote yay.
Right.
How long has your guys' show been running that you've reached such niche topics as doing individual people, whether they're good or not? This so specific. Oh, man, guys.
I have a phone book. Some of these people you're going to know. Some of them you're meeting for the first time. But we're going to judge their address. We're going to judge the exchange of their phone number. And we're going to decide if they're good people. Jenna asks, best food to eat via horsing. I feel like I should set this up and explain what that is.
Yeah.
Horsing is something that I do that is a term coined by my wife, Jennifer, where I put a bunch of food in my mouth. The same food, and then drink a little water and eat it that way. So it looks like a horse feeding.
I like that you say the same food. So you're not mixing up assorted, you're not putting lasagna and also dessert in the same
I'm
bite.
not like scooping. I just will put some candied orange slices, like 2 or 3 in my mouth, and then a little water, let it dissolve as I chew it. And
hey,
and I enjoy that. Yeah.
I'm not judging the actual act. I want to be clear when I say this.
Sure.
The way you have described it sounds disgusting. And I'm sure that this is a thing I do too, because I will be clear. One of the things that boggles my mind about my wife is that she can eat a whole meal without taking a single drink. Like she'll drink afterwards, but the glass will just sit there untouched. And this boggles my mind. And it took me a long time to figure out why. And it's because I don't chew nearly enough. I need the water to force it down my gullet.
Sure.
Is that what the water is for in horsing? Is the water in the act of horsing to substitute for thorough chewing? Because if that's the case, I would say that the best food for horsing is something that dissolves in water.
I think
or
that's
a
fair.
sponge.
A sponge is good too.
The best food to eat via horsing is a sponge.
Does it go the other way?
Yeah.
I think sometimes the water's a cool, refreshing blast.
Here's what you do. You take one of those pills, the little there's a little sponge creature inside. Yeah. And then you put it in your mouth. You let the plastic dissolve, and then it's a Tyrannosaurus.
Oh man. Now I just want to walk around with those little capsules in my mouth all day just to freak someone out when you take a sip of water and then poof, a T-Rex pops out.
See, you're onto it. What I would do is take a couple packages, put it in my mouth, and then drink a cup of water. And then on a bus, Jurassic Park would fly out. Yeah. And that's improv everywhere.
Okay. So I think we solved that one.
Yep. That's done.
The best food to eat via horsing is those little dinosaur capsules that have a sponge dinosaur.
And you can just walk into any store and ask where the dinosaur pills are, and they'll know exactly what you mean.
Oh, sir, aisle 3. We just got
we keep them right up here by the register. So many people have asked.
We have to lock them away. Are you 21?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Look, fellas. If we're going to go with the spirit of the question, though, I'm not certain we can. I know they do have a gelatin coating. I'm not certain we can refer to those as food.
Well, anything's food if you try hard enough, Mark. But I see your point. You know what I'm going to say?
What's that?
A dry cookie, like a shortbread cookie.
Yes, that's it.
A shortbread cookie, especially because my favorite time to enjoy shortbread cookie, Teresa and I, or anyone who's listened to our Etiquette podcast Schmanners, wouldn't be surprised to learn, we occasionally enjoy just having like some nice, like a tea. Especially we have a 4-year-old daughter, so we were having tea parties left and right.
Sure.
And just going dry shortbread cookie can be too much sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Throw a little water in there, you get the full flavor palette while you're eating it. Yeah.
Is the quantity an issue though? Because horsing to me implies a large quantity. Is that correct? Or
I never wanted this.
Is horsing simply the act of, can you do it in small quantities, or is horsing designed for large quantities?
You can horse however you want. You can put a couple in there. If you're feeling frisky, you can throw a few more in.
That was okay. Because
Travis nailed actually exactly the kind of thing, something that's dry where you want a little water in there. That makes for a much better, you're not like having to work through it and chew through.
Eventually you can swish your cookie around. Is that what you're going for?
Oh yeah, you sure can.
Don't you come around here swishing your cookie around, Hal Lublin.
Oh, I'll try to tempt me away from my wife.
Yeah. Trying to get me to hide my cookie under a bushel. I will not. I refuse.
All right. So the best food to eat via horsing is shortbread cookies. Asked
That's right.
and answered.
We did it.
All right. Owen Marshall asked, sofa or couch?
What's the difference? Is a sofa bigger?
I think it's just the name. Do you call it the couch or do you call it the sofa?
You know, it's so funny because until you said that, how I was about to say to Hal, like, yeah, I think that's it. Because when I picture a sofa, I think I picture, okay, tell me if you guys agree. And this is just based on words, right? I don't think that they're actually anything different. When I hear a sofa, I think of something with like newer, the fluff is still kind of unbroken in. This is the sofa. It's a little more pristine. We only sit on it when company comes. The couch, oh, that's comfy and broken in.
The couch has crumbs in it. The sofa does not.
Yeah.
The couch has some divots you'll settle into, you know, in a comfy way.
Yeah. Lots of blankets.
Which wins? The pristine of a sofa or the lived-in Roseanne-ness of a couch?
Well, wait, do you mean that couches are in QAnon?
Yes.
Because if that's the case, then, I don't know. You might have just won sofas over for me.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking of that. I'm thinking of the throw over the back. And there's like usually a pile of laundry at one end.
It drives me crazy. And we had this in the second house that we moved. We started a row home, then we moved to the suburbs and had like a nice house. And in that house, we could have a room that was like a sitting area where there was a couch and a couple of chairs. And sometimes people sat in there, but generally that's not where you wanted to spend your time. Like that's where the sofa is. It's in the room that's meant to entertain that you don't use. And I want to, like ornate furniture pieces are nice and they look great, but I want the big sectional that's comfy that I can get lost in, that you can you could have 2 or 3 people fully laying on it if it's big enough. Like I like that kind of, that's the kind of stuff.
You've had a couch that's big enough for 3 people to lay on it?
But I've seen them. I've been in houses with them. That's the rich kids. That's what they have.
They have that, they got that L-shaped one, don't they?
No, it's a C.
Oh, it's
I have seen that too.
The C shape?
Like C. It's a C shape. One person.
One time, guys, I saw a P-shaped one.
Wait,
it was incredible. There was a sofa in the middle of the sofa, so you could sofa while you couched. It was incredible.
Have you been to Roseanne's house? It's a giant Q.
It's a Q, you guys. It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And it's always on fire. I think I'm going to go with couch. I think
the couch, yeah. The couch sounds more comfy.
It's inviting. It's a big comfy couch. It's right there. Right? Yeah. You wouldn't say big comfy sofa. No, thank you.
Well,
now,
it's not
the
as
actual
alliterative.
answer is I'll always take a chaise lounge any day of the week.
Sure.
Give me a chaise lounge or a settee.
Settee, sure.
Your chaise lounge, what's the upholstery on it?
Oh, it's got to be red leather with those like pulled in buttons. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It looks like,
of course.
so it's straight out of like a psychiatry. That's what I want, you know?
I love that look, like a big leather chair where it's got those buttons that like, what's that called? Is there a name for that?
No.
There's no name for it.
No
one has
you're
ever
the first person
decided.
to realize there's no name for it. So you can name it right now.
Go ahead, do it. What's the name?
Sucker seat.
Yeah, it's a sucker seat.
Because they're sucked 100%. In. The buttons are what's sucking it in.
Yeah.
Like my pants.
I will also say I worked in set design and construction for many years for theater. And man, if you're doing anything set before 1970, just go ahead and plan on having a chaise lounge. You're gonna have it. It's gonna be used. Because especially if it's one of the ones that doesn't have a back on it, because I'm trying to remember, I think that's a settee, but if it doesn't have a back on it, people are coming on it, like sitting on it, jumping on it from all sides. It's way more interesting than a sofa.
Yeah.
It's true. You can't play around as much.
I'm going to guess that being a theater practitioner, there was at least one show that had a chaise lounge or settee and a folding screen behind it that someone was throwing costume pieces over while they talked.
Yeah, well, they said, I've never seen the department stores like this. And
Indeed.
Glove, pantyhose.
Brassiere.
Yeah, brassiere.
The best is if you can get one of those seats that's like a circle with kind of a like smaller circle in the middle of it. Like that's the razor. Yeah,
well, you're not facing out. You're not facing out.
That's the ideal, because you see down on a stage and you're like, whoa, we're in for some jokes, guys. Yeah, There's going to be some slappy stick.
That's a whirly sitter. That's what that one is called.
Yeah,
a whirly sitter.
It's a couch.
It's a couch. All right. We're moving on now to Ethan Jones asks, is a Henley more formal than a t-shirt?
What's a Henley?
A Henley is like the one with the buttons.
Yeah, the 3 little buttons right in the front, but no collar.
I thought that was what I think that was called. I don't know. Collared t-shirt?
A fancy tee?
Well, I don't think a Henley has to be knit. Well, maybe I'm confusing it with like kind of the waffly material, right? No,
that's all knit though. That's like the waffly material or the just like gray heather. Like I think of the Henley as just like either a short or long sleeve t-shirt that just has the couple of buttons in the front. I would argue that it doesn't have
the pointed collar. There's
no collar. It has no collar.
Oh, this is the shirt of the 90s. This was the shirt of the 90s.
Yes, very much so.
Many
but not one that buttons all the way down.
No,
just like buttons. A pullover. I know,
yeah. I'm telling you, my senior year picture in my yearbook, I'm wearing a Henley.
It's the Reality Bites.
Almost certain. I'm either wearing that or a Billy Joel River of Dreams.
It is.
It was already faded 2 years later.
If you Google pictures of Jason Priestley in Beverly Hills 90210 original, I'm going to say every third one of those pictures is like a red flannel shirt over a Henley.
Over a Henley. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that look. The question is a Henley more formal than a t-shirt? I would say barely.
Oh, here's my argument. I would say they are equally as I see them as part of the same tier of formality, where perhaps it is like over here a little bit further on the scale. But like, if you look at it this way. If you showed up to a thing in a t-shirt and they said, this is formal, go change. And then you came back in a Henley, they would not say, that's better.
But let me ask you this in the same vein. If Hal is in his senior picture, let's say wearing a Henley, if you have 2 versions of Hal in a photograph and one Hal is wearing a Henley and the other one he's wearing a 2 years faded Billy Joel River of Dreams t-shirt.
Yeah. Which one does he look cooler in? Well,
it's a trick question. It's the Stormfront t-shirt. That was cool.
Oh my God. Look, on a scale of 1 to 10, a t-shirt is a 1. In the formality.
It is.
And a Henley I think a Henley's a 2, which I think makes it technically slightly more formal.
It is a 1.1 at best, Mark.
But it's still slightly more formal.
Yeah, right. Let me extend your example, Travis. If you were going to dinner with your 14, 15-year-old child and they walk down.
I have a what?
Yeah, you have a 14, 15. Surprise. Let's bring them in.
Hey, Dad.
If your kid comes down and they're wearing a t-shirt, and you're going to not quite a TGI Fridays, but also not a McCormick's and Schmick's. We're in between there. So decent mid-level restaurant. And they come in the t-shirt and you're like, you got to change. The t-shirt's not going to cut it. You can't go to this restaurant in a t-shirt. We're going to see the Hendersons. They're good people and they will judge you. If the kid came down,
if they're judging you, they don't sound like good people.
Well, they're not, but that's the.
But you're not going to say that to your 14-year-old. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want them to know that. You just want them to fear parents. So when they come down in the Henley, you're like, okay, good. That's much better. That's much better. It's not if you're at a formal event, you walk in a t-shirt, you are the kid who owns a van in an 80s movie.
Okay, listen. I'm going to agree with you that I would say it was better, but I would not say, quote, good, that's much better. I would say, fine, we're late, let's just go.
That is marginally better.
Yeah.
That is a 1.1, but still it's not just a 1.
This is what I have learned from being a parent, and my kid's only 4. Well, and my second kid's 1, but she's easy to argue with. My 4-year-old, like so much of it, man, you wonder why it's so characteristically written for like parents and TV shows to say it's the principle of the thing. Because sometimes what you're trying to teach kids is exactly that, where it's just like, I'm going to argue with you. And as soon as you agree with me even a little bit, then we'll stop arguing. It's fine. But if I'm like, hey, no TV, and you're like, yes, TV, and I'm like, no TV, and they're like, all right, we won't watch TV now, but can we watch TV in 10 minutes? I'm like, yep, you got it. Because you agreed with me now, and now the argument's over, because technically, I won.
So the answer is yes.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more formal, but
grudgingly more formal.
Barely more formal.
This is shades of gray. This is not extremes that we're dealing with here. That's
all
right. Answered. All right. We got one from Kate Tripoli, who asks, how many pillows? How many persons?
Nope. You have to finish it in the way you started it.
How many persons' pillows should one person sleep with?
How many persons should one person sleep with?
How many pillows should you sleep with? Is the answer.
Before you get married? Is that what you mean? Before you settle on one and
before you decide on the
Yeah, before when you're really out there playing the field, pillow-wise.
I will say my standard is 3. I got 2
like in a stack?
No. Hear me out. Okay. 2 for my head. Because I have a large elephant man-esque head. If I don't have those pillows, I'll die. And then 1 betwixt the knees. And how anyone sleeps without a pillow betwixt their knees is, magic to me, is witchcraft. I don't understand, because if I don't, I wake up with sore knees, and that's if I can fall asleep from the grinding of my knees together.
Yeah, but are you a side sleeper? That's for a side sleeper.
Can't sleep on my back or tummy.
No, yeah, I'm the same way. I'm one. I have a really nice, I think if you have a really nice pillow, I have one that I call mushy because it's a mushy pillow. So it can it can be flatter, or I can sort of roll it up and then it becomes thicker depending on.
When you say you call it mushy,
it's a mushy pillow.
Is that you say you call it that, like lowercase m, you use that as an adjective to describe it, or capital M, its name is mushy?
Yes, its name is mushy.
Okay.
So I'll say, Jennifer, where's mushy? And then she'll go, whoop, here's one. She has one too. We both have mushies.
This is so cute. This thing.
Isn't it adorable? You don't want to go down this
Where's my mushy?
I can't sleep without my mushy. I require my mushy. But I have the special, like the knee pillow that's shaped like an eye, like the memory foam.
Yeah.
I'll do that. I like a third pillow to rest my arm on as a side sleeper as well. I don't like having the arm like tucked in, or I'm doing like one underneath. The side I'm sleeping on, that arm is underneath, and the other one I like to rest on. I like to have elevated on another pillow.
That's why my dog sleeps next to me, and I use her as that additional pillow that I can sometimes just crook an elbow upon. I have had to recently shift totally arm position when sleeping, because I used to sleep in what I call cadaver pose, where it's like arms crossed across my chest, and I would sleep like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then, like, it reached a certain point. I don't know why, but in the last, 6 months, suddenly, that was uncomfortable. And so now to fall asleep, I kind of have to, put my arm, parallel with my side. So I'm, sleeping even more like a dead person. I don't know why.
Interesting. I'm a single pillow person. I'm a 1 pillow under my head when I'm laying on my back. Otherwise, it hurts my neck. If I'm laying on my side, I will go 2 pillows. Have you guys seen the cube? There is now a pillow that's a full-on cube for the side sleepers.
I've seen it. That feels like a scam.
It does. And also, you don't want it would look strange on a bed. That would look odd to me, a bed with just 1 cube pillow.
Here's what I want. I've thought about this a lot as a side sleeper. I want a bed that is made out of a lot of 6-inch by 6-inch cubes that I can pull out of the mattress to then lower my arm into and build specially a pocket in the bed that my arm and shoulder goes down into so I don't have to tuck it around.
You want a Minecraft bed?
Yes. I would like a bespoke Travis hole to put myself into.
And you want to be able to remote press it, so instead of having to actually pull them out, they just recess into the base.
I mean, listen, the dream is it's like one of those pen cushion things that you can push against your face or hand or whatever, but it's like a bed, and it's not like memory foam or condensed. It just like disappears, melts underneath you. So it's just like, that's the dream, because I think I would sleep best if it felt like I was touching nothing. Sometimes I can't sleep if my socks are too fuzzy. So like, imagine just feeling like nothing. Like you you stopped existing. That's the dream.
Oh my God.
I hope someone as a prank puts a pea under your mattress.
Hey, how dare you, Mark?
But what do we think? I mean, look, we've got to come up with the objective answer to this. I'm a 1, you're a 3, and you're a 3 as well, Hal?
Yeah. 3.
Here's what I'm going to say.
3 seems really excessive.
But it's not far under the head. 1's for the knees, for the nubbin.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say 2, because you can remove 1 if you find that that's uncomfortable. But if you only have 1 and it's not doing it, now you're folding it up and trying to origami your pillow.
Yeah.
I think 2 seems reasonable. I think 2 is what is generally agreed upon for the hotel world.
Yeah.
This is the right amount of pillows for a person. That seems, more than that feels excessive to me. And I understand the knee pillow.
You? How dare you, sir?
I'm just saying.
I have sensitive knees.
Yeah.
From my time as a tap dancer.
More than 2 under your head seems excessive to me.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, because that's the thing. You can curl up some of the extra blanket between your knees if you're in a pinch.
Right.
Yep, I do that. I've done it. It's not the same, but
it's not the same, but sometimes it'll trick your body in it long enough to fall asleep.
There you go.
That's true. 2 pillows. Asked and answered.
2 pillows.
We got more topics to clean off the slate, but first we're going to take a break where we'll hear from some fine other Max Fun programs. That was a weird sentence, but I'm not going to fix it. And maybe more. We'll be back.
I'm going first. It's me, Jackie Cation.
Man, she's always this bossy. Hi, I'm Lori Kilmartin. We're a bunch of stand-up comics, and we've been doing comedy like 60 years total between both of us, but we look amazing. And
working out. We drop every Monday on Max Fun, and it's called The Jackie Laurie Show, and you could listen to it and learn about comedy and learn about anger management and all the things.
And Jackie is married but childless, and I'm unmarried but childful. So together we make one complete woman.
Is that just what that one's gonna end?
Yeah. And we try to make Kyle laugh just like that and say, oh my God, every episode.
It's a good job.
The Jackie and Laurie Show, Mondays, only on Maximum Fun.
Hi, my name's Travis McElroy, the host of My Brother and Me. Have you checked it out? I think you really like it. It's me and my brothers goofing around, making some jokes, but also learning a little bit about life. So come on down here, sit a spell with us, the McElroy brothers. We're going to answer your questions, or we won't. We might just talk about weird things that have happened at restaurants for a while. Anyways, we love you.
Let's move on. Mark, what is our next topic?
Our next topic, Rebecca Justinger, or Justinger, or I'm sorry for pronouncing your name poorly if I did, asks, paperback or hardcover?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh. Oof. Okay. There's obviously 2 major pros, like 1 for each. Hardcover, substantial. Feels like you're doing something. You pick up a hardcover to read. Oh boy, this feels real. Paperback, portability. Throw a paperback. They're usually smaller. You throw them in your bag or whatever. Like, it's a lot easier. I will say the feeling of a well-worn in paperback where it's like you can flip through and like the whole book has like a solid flipping action.
Yeah.
You don't ever really get that with a hardcover unless like the covers break. And that's a bummer. Right.
True.
I am team paperback all the way on this one for that very reason. There's something that feels so much more tactile to me about a paperback. I know that a hardcover, the paper quality is better. The cover quality is better. It's usually like the first edition of a book or the nice edition of a book. But if what you really want to do is read it on the subway or annotate or, get to a certain page quickly, that to me, I feel like, and also a hardcover version of a book could be $40 where the paperback version of the same book is $9.
But there is one area where a paperback cannot compete, and it's aesthetically. Aesthetically, yes. On a shelf, like you walk into a room. That's the thing. If you're like, if I see a bunch of paperbacks on a shelf, I'm like, oh, you're a reader, right? You have read these, like, but if I walk in and I see those like hardcovers, I'm like, oh, you're a collector. Oh,
yes, right? But are books meant to be read or looked at?
Well, but the ideal is both. I mean, listen, I'm arguing this as a person who has not consumed a paper book in probably 10 years. I only do audiobooks because of attention span and kids. So what the do I know? I don't know if I can curse on this show, but the thing is, I think that as now a homeowner, right, if I'm going to take up shelf space, I think what I tend to do now is if I do read a paperback, I'm then like, once I'm done reading it, like, either donating it somewhere, passing it on to someone else, or like reselling it at like a bookstore that does that. If I have a hardcover, I think I'm way more likely, especially if it's like a pretty, like you can take off the dust cover and they've like put a design on the spine. That's the dream. Now I can put it on the shelf.
Are you a take the dust cover off guy generally?
If it's a pretty thing, mostly just because I don't trust myself. I mean, I used to only like do hardcovers because I liked, like I said, when I was like 11, right? It felt so like I'm the page master, right? Like I'm doing something.
What, shall I read Moby Dick in paperback form?
No, then how could I possibly brag about it? And so like then I would take the dust cover off because I simply did not trust myself. Because it's like, what, I'm going to tear this up. And so if I keep the dust cover at home, counterintuitively, I think this makes the most sense, honestly. Let the part you don't see get beat up and then go home and put the dust cover back on. Looks like a brand new book when you put it on the shelf.
The dust cover is supposed to take the abuse, though. And then you can take it off.
That might be true back in the day when the dust cover used to just be paper that you put over it. But now when the fancy design is on the dust cover,
that's so true. Yeah, just carry around the book and then put the dust cover on when you put it back on the shelf.
Right. Especially the one that bothers me.
Blew my mind.
They put dust covers on kids, like hardback books, where the dust cover and the cover of the book are the exact same design. Yeah, and it's like, hey, who are you fooling? I'm giving this to a 3-year-old. I'm taking that dust cover off. Are you kidding me? If I left that dust cover on, it maybe has 10 minutes before it's ripped off.
Yeah, but the dust cover that's on that book, it's easier to emboss the Newbery medal on a dust cover.
Now that is true.
Emboss the Newbery medal on the actual book cover.
I don't buy my kid Newbery books. I don't want her getting highfalutin. Come on, Mark.
I'm a Caldecott man.
Yeah.
Yes. A good American Caldecott award.
Looking at the pros and cons, do we think that the beauty aesthetic of a hardcover outweighs the portability and price and accessibility of a paperback version of the same book?
I think at the end of the day, when it comes down to any like pick between this or this thing, I always fall back to the same argument that often like will decide for people whether they're cake or pie, which is imagine that this question is saying whichever one you choose, the other one is erased from existence. And the thing is if paperbacks are erased from existence, I really think it would decrease book sales tremendously because of what you're talking about. Portability, carry it with you, take it to the beach, take it on the subway or whatever. Whereas I think if hardcovers were erased from existence, eventually people would just get used to the aesthetic of a paperback. Yeah. So I'm still going paperback, but with the asterisk of acknowledging that aesthetically, I do think hardcover is more pleasing.
Groovy.
Yeah, I think you nailed it out of the gate. There are books that I read as a kid over and over and over again. And I remember as soon as you talked about the feel when you break in a book, I remember the exact feel of my favorite books, how soft it was thumbing through the pages over time, just like that feel and weight of it and the way the spine bent. So I knew like the favorite part that I kept revisiting. So those softcover books become sort of a tribute to the time you spend reading that book. It forms to you to where you flip your pages and where you stop. It helps you remember. So it becomes sort of a living memory of the many times you read that book.
I think that's such a great image, having like the spine of a paperback book, if you look at the spine of your favorite paperback and you see those white lines going down the spine of the book, you know that those white lines represent your favorite points in that book.
And I am also of the opinion that, like, there might be bibliophiles listening to this going, but no, but, I dog-eared pages not just to save my place, but if there was like a quote I liked or a scene I liked, I would dog-ear it and leave it dog-eared so I could like come back to it. Now I will say there are notable exceptions. For example, a certain young wizarding series that shall not be named, whereas like when I was a kid or
Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Percy Jackson, yes, thank you. When those were coming out, I only wanted the hardcover, right? Like that felt like a thing I wanted. Or if it was like, oh man, another wizarding series that starts with an X that I won't name because there was a lot of weird child stuff in there. But that was another one of like when I was obsessed with those books, I wanted the hardcover because it felt like something. Now as an adult, if someone's like, do you want this hardcover book? I'm like, no, thanks. My back.
Yeah. Do you want, if it's a classic, like I would like used to enjoy, like I would get the big fanciest version of a book that's been in the public domain for 200 years.
Right.
Or then I would get the Dover thrift edition that I could roll up and stick in my pocket that was way easier.
Right.
I was a bathtub reader, so I loved paperbacks, hardcovers. I need to be light, look at it, and
that's the other thing too.
I was a back pocket reader. I was the back pocket reader where it's like, oh, I've got 5 seconds. Okay. Like, that was me.
You mentioned too, you bring up a good point. I mean, we know it's paperback. We're saying it's paperback, but just to beat a dead horse, the weight when you are reading, if you're spending hours and hours and hours holding this thing unsupported in your hand, go with the lighter version.
But I do think, okay, but even to that, every so often, listen, we've all seen Neverending Story. That idea of sitting there holding the big book when you're a kid feels so viscerally, I think, powerful, right? It feels like I am holding the key to a journey when you're doing that there are certain books that like, you know, I think, for example, something like The Hobbit, right? Where it's just like, if I'm going to get, and like, if I was like, I'm going to buy a copy of this for BB, I think I would buy something that was like, I'm handing you a treasure. This looks like something you should value. It's very like in Princess Bride, right? That book. If he had just walked in holding a kind of like broken spine rolled up paperback, it's like, what is this? Did you spend $1 on this? Come on, Grandpa. I know you're living on a pension, dude. But
yeah,
that is a good point. It does feel like for a gift, I would say hardcover.
Yeah.
Hardcover for a gift, paperback for yourself.
Right.
Yeah. I just, for my birthday, I got a hardcover book from Jennifer, and it was nice to have the hardcover version. And it's a cooking reference book, this gigantic, it's called Larousse Gastronomique. And I don't even know if I'm going to keep the paper sleeve for it, but it's such a beautiful book. And to have it in hardcover, that's what it feels like. If I have a big reference book, I want it to have that weight that it stays open.
Yeah.
When I open it up and I'm flipping through all the pages at a certain point in a hardcover book, you can do that. The paperback, you cannot. That is generally how you get the spine and how it weakens, because you're trying to hold it open on a flat surface, or how you sort of curve it around. But it's still better.
Paperback, asked and answered.
Asked and answered.
Now I'd like to go. Chris Rooney asks, should I shave my head bald? Now, guys, I've dropped into the chat a photograph of Chris Rooney.
Well, he's really taken the suspense out of this, because his head is already shaved and he's standing under a sign that says Bald Head Road.
That's right. Chris Rooney has shaved his head bald and looks great. So retroactively, the answer is yes.
Okay.
I think because he's forced our hand and showed us a picture of him shaved bald, I would restrict him from shaving it anymore, so that the hair has to grow back, and then send us another picture, and then we'll decide.
Yeah, that's the thing, is without knowing okay, listen, I say this. I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, were I to shave my head, I would look weird. Not because bald is weird, but because I know I got a weird shaped head. I know I got a big old melon. Right? And I know, I fell down a lot as a kid and bonked it on a lot of things. There's no way looking good, right? And so the idea of like unforced, but if I was, say, Bruce Willising, as you may, I would just go ahead and shave it, right? Because at that point, I know very few people who have been like thinning to the point of like, another person I will not name, a friend of mine was thinning so bad he just had like a little tuft in the front and then like a huge circle around it with nothing. Yeah. And he refused to shave that tuft forever. And then eventually did and was like, oh, I look amazing. It's like, yeah, my dude. It's good. There's something very confident about it.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, it's for him specifically. Look, the bald head looks great.
Yeah. You got a good head, now, Chris Rooney.
Yeah. Now, Chris, you have to grow all your hair back, grow whatever hair you have back, and then let us see a picture of it. And don't cheat. Do not cheat and put a wig on. We'll know.
Why is that cheating? I was just going to suggest if you don't want to take the time to grow, because there's that awkward phase when you have the like little where you look like a Monchi-chi.
This is not about what he wants.
Listen, I think we can all agree. Color it in with a Sharpie. Send us a picture, and we'll decide.
Oh yeah, do that.
Yeah,
you can color it in with a Sharpie. That we will accept.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
Temporarily asked and answered.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's next, Mark?
I leave that to you, Hal.
Okay, great. I got a good one here. This is from Sarah Varian, who asks, regular swing or tire swing?
Regular swing. Next.
Regular swing.
Really?
Regular swing.
I have never.
Why?
Okay. 1, tire swing. You need at least 2 people because if one person sits on a tire swing, it'll tilt up weird. It's really hard to balance one person on a tire swing. You have to sit in the middle. Right? So that it stays balanced. And at that point, your ass is falling through the hole in the middle. It is wildly uncomfortable. Plus, the chances that nowadays there is some like steel belted stuff in there that like if the tire wears through, it's going to cut you or your children.
You're not using a new tire.
No.
Yeah.
And 3, a black tire sitting in the sun becomes wildly uncomfortable very quickly.
Yeah.
Like,
when you think of a tire swing, are you thinking like that this tire swing has
tied to a rope and
made flat? Or are you thinking the tire swing where it's simply tied to a rope and the tire itself is on the same vertical plane that it would be?
Okay. See, when I hear tire swing,
you think about.
There was a playground where I grew up where it was a tire that was flat with a chain split into 3 that went down to 3 different points. So it's that flat. Right.
Yes, the flat. Those are, I like those. I was thinking that the tire has more versatility. I agree. If you just tie a rope around a tire and hang it from a branch, which is like the classic idea of a tire.
Yeah, it looks good in a painting.
Not only are you falling through the hole, but when you sit in it, you're sitting in an empty area where the tube would go. So you're sitting in a ridge. Like there's no comfortable way to sit on it unless you sit on the very top of it, in which case that's not what it's for.
No, just tie a board in there. And chances are, like, your Uncle Derek put up and he has no idea what he's doing. He's not a structural engineer. He didn't, choose the best branch. He just did the one that was closest. And you're, one time, you're going to get up there and it's going to break. And maybe you'll be fine, but, maybe you won't.
But maybe the tire will start to roll with you in it and it'll go through the whole town.
I just think if you're talking about, conceptually fun, I see where thinking about a tire swing, the idea is fun. Right. But in practicality, you can sit on a regular swing for as long as you want to. Sometimes just sit there and kind of chill out.
Have a conversation with the person on the swing next to you.
Right.
The tire swing also implies there's only one of them.
Right.
A swing set, like a regular swing you can sit next to a person. You can do hey, let's see who can get higher.
You can do that taking turns on one swing. But the big thing is with a tire swing, 2 things. Number 1, you can't go as high as possible, then jump off and fly through the air like a superhero and land like Spider-Man. Number 2, you can't try to go all the way around.
That's too specific for it not to have happened.
It's impossible. Oh, of course. That was what we did. You went as high as possible and then you jumped off to try land because you're a kid and
if you can do it right, you land in the hero pose, and you stand up and people are like, oh my God, he did it.
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah. Regular swing.
Regular swing, 100%.
Swing. Asked and answered.
We got time for a couple more, yes?
We do. Yeah. We got time for just a couple more.
All right. Susan DeBorsey asks, ramp, stairs, moving walkway, escalator, or elevator?
Okay, well, right off the bat, I'm going to nix stairs out of this mix because of accessibility, right?
True.
Where not just accessibility, but also of all the ones we just described, the most work. right?
Escalator too has Escalator
has accessibility. Stairs. I mean, it's you could like do a wheelchair on it with assistance, like turn backwards, I guess. But yeah, to me, end of the day, elevator takes the cake, you guys. That thing's magical.
Well,
you know
so the question is, I would say, based on the question that Susan asks at the
best way to go up.
Best way to go up is definitely, I'm saying 100% I'm with you on an elevator. There's no version of a skyscraper in New York City that I want to take any of these other routes. That said, the best way to go laterally, I think, is the moving walkway.
Well, yeah.
Because there's nothing as amazing as being in the airport, seeing that moving walkway, and then suddenly being like, you know what? Now when I walk and I look at my reflection in whatever businesses are along this pathway, I look like I'm walking like the Bionic Man going super speed.
With one caveat, which is, if the business you want to go to is smack dab in the middle of like where the moving walkway is, and you're like, do I walk there or do I go down the moving walkway and walk back? Like, what do I, you can't exit the moving walkway in the middle unless you like vault over the side.
Yeah. You know what, Travis? Vault.
Not if I have my suitcase with me. And of course I have my suitcase with me. I only travel with carry-on. I'm going to check a bag and risk losing it. Come on.
Never. That's a fool's errand to do that. Yeah, the elevators, I'm really upset that they don't have, there is no good moving walkway to get you up. And the thing I think of immediately is the moving walkway at the end of the Haunted Mansion in Disneyland specifically, where there's a moving walkway to take you up out of the berm and to the street level. And it is working real hard.
It's pretty steep.
Best to get you up there. And it is not fast. It feels like that ribbon is going to rip. And then you will comically run in place as it gathers behind you. And then,
there is I have been on a upward moving walkway in Las Vegas for whatever reason, wherever the Madame
Caesars, I think, has them.
Yeah, right? Cause that's where the Madame Tussauds is. And it will like take you up there. But the distance that it has to cover, the angle it is at is so shallow that it's like, why, like, you're wasting so much real estate doing this when you could have just done an elevator.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, and
the only thing about an elevator is I do understand that for crowd size in Vegas, an elevator with a capacity of 6 that you're constantly waiting, there could be a long queue forming outside that. Whereas with this ramp, you can just kind of keep it full the whole time.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, the ideal scenario, because they have this at the Cincinnati Zoo and I love it, is there is an escalator and then next to that, a bank of 4 elevators. So if you are, for example, it's a zoo. So for parents with kids in strollers, they will direct you to the elevators. If you feel comfortable on the escalators, they direct you towards the escalators. So they're kind of like splitting the pathway of just like, okay, you got a wheelchair, elevators right over here. Oh, okay, cool. Are you here are the escalator. So it's kind of making sure that there's never too long a line. That's the ideal. But if you were going to get rid of one of those for me, everybody can use the elevator.
Yeah. Well, the accessibility thing eliminates most of these.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
But if we're talking absolute best case, I think the best version of best way to go up is not on here, which is grab the rope, use your sword to smack the other part of the rope, releasing the chandelier, and you go flying up into the air.
Yep.
Sure. That would be the best way.
Barring that, I think elevator is the winner.
And the best way down, of course, is to jump off the mast, stick your knife into the sail.
Exactly.
Let it drag you slowly down as you land. And then you parry Captain Hook and you fly around the ship. We all know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best way down. Or rappelling.
Yeah, one of those two.
Yeah, rappelling also fun.
Yeah.
EJ Salazar asks, Cocoa Pebbles or Fruity Pebbles?
I leave this to you guys. I was never a fan of either of them.
Really?
Why? Do you not like things that taste good?
I like minimally sweet breakfast cereals. And we talked about this in
like, just a bowl of Kicks for me.
Why do you say that like
mother approved?
Like you're, like that's a
there's a whole world out there. You were allowed to have sugar cereal as a kid. That's the thing, right?
No, we didn't have sugar cereals as a kid. No, we were maybe, like you said, Kicks or Honey Nut Cheerios.
When we got Honey Nut Cheerios, that was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, how many kids were in your family, Mark?
3.
How many in yours, Hal?
1.
Okay.
Unless I wasn't there, then 0.
Okay, well, I assume if you had said 0, Hal, I would have been confused.
I'm a Victorian ghost. But
okay.
Ooh.
See, we had 3 kids, and I seem to remember, like, before Griffin reached cereal age, I think my parents tried to be like, we're going to do, like, Kix and, like, Frosted Flakes. And then it was like, okay, there's 3 of you. I don't know, Lucky Charms, Fruity Pebbles, whatever. I don't care. I'm at a certain point, I think when I was like, it was when I started high school, my mom and dad would just let me get ready because I caught the bus. I remember having cake for breakfast on more than one occasion. So, like, I don't know. Okay, the reason this is a tough choice is if somebody said right now for one day, one meal, what do you want? I would choose Fruity Pebbles. But if someone said, like, you're going to eat this every morning for a week, I would say Cocoa Pebbles. Because to Mark's point, I think Fruity Pebbles are a little sickly sweeter than the Cocoa Pebbles, where Cocoa Pebbles to me has a bit of almost a little bit of like that bitter, darker chocolate taste to it, where it's not so sweet.
Fruity Pebbles feel like an ice cream topping.
Yeah, right? Or I have made marshmallow treats, like Rice Krispie treats, out of Fruity Pebbles.
Yes, me too.
And it's very good. But I would say, like, if somebody said, you're going to eat this cereal every day for a month, which one do you want to eat? It's easily Cocoa Pebbles for me.
For some reason, last year in particular, this started, was exploring, because I knew I had one day of the week where I would go crazy and eat whatever.
So you would explore your body.
I would explore my body, and I got obsessed with versions of cereal that had marshmallows added to them. So the Frosted Flakes with marshmallows.
Oh, and you and BB must belong to the same group. You and my 4-year-old.
Oh, we have a great text thread about it where we rate and say which ones we like and which ones we don't like.
That's nice.
And
Justin too. You like, those are called Marbits.
Yes, the Marbits. I have a 1-pound bag of Marbits that I can add to.
Of course you do.
Wait, hold on. What? What are Marbits? Or just the
marshmallow bits?
Just like the little chalky marshmallows?
Yeah. If think of Lucky Charms, the stuff that's not the chaff. That is the Marbits.
Yes. Exactly. The Fruity Pebble with marshmallows has been consistently, we have not been without it in the house since last
Don't
March.
say we, like Jen is buying it, Hal. Come on.
It's true. She looks at it and says, do we need all this?
I know Jen. Come on.
Need this? That's true.
Don't say we. Like Jen's not like, oh, Hal, when you go to the store, don't forget to get the 1-pound bag of Marbits.
Yeah.
Oh, we're low. We've only got 4 ounces of Marbits left. Better get another bag.
Look, I buy those boxes 3 at a time of Marshmallow Fruity Pebbles. Mm-hmm. It's so good. But for some reason, I don't think I could eat them every single day. I like to look forward to them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And the milk afterwards is good, but with Cocoa Pebbles, you have chocolate milk when you're done. And it is, I think, of all of the cocoa cereals, I think it's the best one.
Yep.
Cocoa Puffs are good, but any puff cereal floats too much, so you get an unequal cereal to milk ratio. And by the time they're underneath, if you don't like soggy cereal, which I don't mind, if you don't like soggy cereal, then you're going to be very disappointed. You have to do the weird thing where you measure them or get that bowl for sociopaths. Where
I don't want to have to do science when I'm eating my cereal.
There's no need for it. I think it may be Cocoa Krispies. I'm surprised that I'm saying that. I'm agreeing because I love Fruity Pebbles so much, but I do think to have it day in and day out would be much more difficult. I think having either one day in and day out would be very challenging.
But you'd rather have a cocoa. I agree.
I think I would rather have the cocoa. I'd rather have that chocolate in the morning. And I think it would be better. Ooh, that's a tough one. I think if I were to make it part of a complete breakfast, I'm doing the hardest air quotes my hands will allow. Where you have that
means part of a complete breakfast just means you have a bowl of Fruity Pebbles and then you have a complete breakfast also.
Yeah. One of my favorite jokes, it's whenever you talk about somebody saying the cup is part of a complete breakfast too, but you still shouldn't eat it.
Yeah. I think of buttered toast. I love having buttered toast with a cereal or butter, like a plain bagel with butter toasted with butter on it. And I think
do you want any more carbs? You could just drink like a cup full of oats.
Yeah.
That's the best food for horsing. Oats.
Yeah.
I mix up cake batter and I drink that instead of a juice.
But you get your mouth hot first so it makes pancakes in your mouth.
Yeah. And then the bowl is the tortilla and then I eat that.
Of course.
At the end.
This is great. I love
carbs.
I want to throw one little note where you were talking about the puff cereals.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite cereals, and I don't know if it's made anymore, but I haven't had them forever, and you just remind me of Reese's Puffs, because you get that peanut butter chocolate taste in cereal form. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. Those are well-made cereal. I think it is still around. I think it survived.
Okay.
It survived.
I have to go get some. Okay.
But the winner is Cocoa Pebbles, correct?
Cocoa Pebbles, asked and answered. Right. Mark, you want to take us home? You got the last one?
Yeah, let's do one last one. This comes from Jordana Kane.
That's a powerful name.
That
is
right?
a superhero alter ego name right there.
Yeah.
It sure is.
Jordana Kane.
Nuclear physicist Jordana Kane. After an accident at Shoney's, she gained the ability to see 4 seconds into the past.
That's not a great power. I mean, 4 seconds in the future is something.
4 seconds into the past.
Wait, what did I just say?
Hindsight. Yeah. She never forgets an argument.
Could you repeat the specials? No need.
Jordana Kane asks, grocery shopping, list or no list?
Okay, this is very close to home because my wife and I are on opposite sides of this issue where I see, okay, for her, she is a list person, right? My wife is very, in all things, economical, right? This is, where I am much more of a free spirit. I find what I like to do, put some earbuds in, maybe listen to a podcast or some music. I start at one end of the store and I just weave through the aisles waiting to be inspired by perhaps an article of food I've never thought of before. Oh, what's that? Oh, some blue cheese stuffed olives. Yeah, why not? That'll make me happy for sure. Surely that will be the thing that makes me happy.
Finally, that elusive happiness.
This must be it. Oh, some I don't know, chili verde. Yeah, well, sure, why not? And now, admittedly, one of my New Year's resolutions for this year is to try to create less waste in my life. And one of those things is buying things that I don't have a planned meal for, or that I don't know what that would be in a meal, and to try to eat out of the pantry and fridge and freezer more. So, and it also saves me on going to the store in the middle of a pandemic.
That I think is a key right now. Is I don't know that starting at one end of the store with a podcast and weaving in and out of the aisles in 2020 through 2021 is necessarily. So do we take that factor out of consideration?
Well, but
or
I think
is this episode of the moment?
Even then, I've been doing a lot of the online ordering, and I find without a list, it doesn't work the same way. Like I sit down and I'm looking at a computer screen thinking, what do we need? And until I could, like, without being able to, so even though I prefer the kind of abstract freeform grocery shopping, I have come around on it to say you should start with a list. You might pick up other things, but there is nothing more frustrating than either getting that online order or coming home from the store and realizing like, oh, bread, right? Like that. And then thinking like, what am I going to make another order? And am I going to go back out? Like, I think
and then you go,
crucial.
Oh, wait, I left the 4-year-old at the grocery store. So you got to go back out anyway.
No, are you kidding me? What's the weather like? You know what I mean? What time is it? How tired am I? She can wait.
Yeah, I think I like that idea. I think it's the correct answer is a combination of both, erring on the side of using a list. It's preparedness versus spontaneity. But I think for grocery shopping, it's the preparedness plus a little bit of spontaneity just in case you come across salsa verde that you want or blue cheese stuffed olives.
Yeah.
And then feeling free to do that. But I do think, especially right now, get in and out, you know?
Yeah.
I think the thing that brought me around on the list was having kids where it's just like, well, there's food that, especially like for a baby, like there is food that we need for a 1-year-old, right? And if we run out of that, it's not like, oh, we'll just give her some of this steak.
Yeah, give her Slim Jim.
Right. And so like the list became an absolute necessity for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think above all, and I know Jordana didn't ask this, but the most important thing for food shopping is that you not be hungry when you do it, that you either have just eaten or just you're either past a meal or in between meals and not hungry in any way, because then you will make bad decisions. But a list is a must have. You need to know beyond staples. It's good to meal plan to an extent and know what are some things I would like to make and then you can get things that will either I have a couple of things that are in my freezer right now. I could get out and defrost and make a meal very
How many
easily.
frozen bags of Marbits do you have?
Oh my goodness. That's 90% of the freezer right now.
I get it. And then the rest is that elk you killed.
That's right.
Just bags of Marbits and that butchered elk.
Oh my God. That's one thing down where my dad lives. Everyone has a freezer that just has a single cut up animal in it.
Yeah. Sure, they share it.
Yeah.
I brought a whole cow.
We had a lay down freezer like that was, I would say only the top half of it was usable because the bottom half, everything was so like frozen together. Like I, as a kid, remember so many times like lifting the lid and like diving down in with my little legs, like kicking up out of the back as I'm like digging down, trying to see if there was any more like frozen, like, are there any more frozen pizzas in here? I would say an addendum to your Don't Shop Hungry. I have found that what you really want to do in a perfect world, you will shop completely neutral. Cause like if I'm too frustrated or like sad, I'm buying things to make me happy. But if I'm too happy, now I'm like walking on sunshine, just scooping things into the cart. Like this will make my kids smile. Oh, I know Teresa loves these. Oh, I love this hot chocolate. And it's like, what are you doing? You don't know, need all these things. What you want to be is just completely like Data from Star Trek, neutral, like, do we need bread? No.
And that's where the list comes in. Yeah. A list does not have mood swings. A list does not get hungry. A list will keep your pantry full.
And let me also recommend, if you're making a list, specificity is very important. So sometimes it'll just say like vegetables. And then you get and you're looking around like and you're like, that could be anything. What am I? Oh no. Bok choy? Am I going to get some bok choy?
This just says carbs. I must be shopping for my breakfast.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And hey, if you want to avoid, here's a good tip for avoiding emotionally food shopping is wait until 2022 to buy anything else ever. Yeah. And then you'll be out of a major stress zone and you'll be fine.
I hope your fridges are all already full.
Just go out there, kill yourself an elk, learn from how, butcher it. Make your own Marbits out of elk fat.
Yeah, you can. It's really easy. I'll tell you how. It's
really easy. You just got to extrude. You got to get yourself an extruder. Make it in the shape of like a rainbow or a pot of gold and just push the elk fat through there, chop it into little bits, freeze it.
I use a Play-Doh Fun Factory for that. Nice. And it works really well. You get the little slide.
You get the noodles.
Different shapes. Yeah. You just cut it off with a butter knife as you go. You lay them out in the sun on a rock. They dry out. And then you throw them in cereal whenever you want, but it's better to freeze them. They will stay fresher. That is fresh animal fat.
Fresh elk marshmallows.
Yeah. And then you use the antlers for a coat rack.
And the best thing is then those Marbits double as soap.
They sure do. Yeah. You can wash up with them. Drop a couple in your hair. That's a shampoo.
My favorite cereal, Tal-O's.
Yeah. And it's a natural aphrodisiac. I'm just saying that elk fat can be used for a lot of things. I'm not saying it's good for it, but you can use it for shampoo. You can use it for writing. You can use it to grease a wheel.
Mm-hmm. Those are all the things. Those are every use.
That's everything you can use.
That's a lot. That's a wide range.
Yeah. More than you can use my fat for.
Yeah, exactly.
We have covered our list. We have covered everything that elk fat can be used for.
Yes.
Travis McElroy, thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. I think this is my third appearance. Is that true?
Yeah. We Batman vs. Superman was the first one.
Mel Brooks movie,
and now this. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very exciting.
Great. And congratulations on the new book. Of course, you could also get all the Adventure Zone graphic novels, but the big news of the day is now officially released as Everybody Has a Podcast Except You. That you wrote with your brothers, but the entire McElroy family has been brought to bear on this project. Just tell everybody again. I just love that you're writing this. I feel like it's a good time for it to come out too.
Yeah. The impetus for it, we started planning this a long, long time ago. We've been doing podcasting now for almost 11 years. It'll be 11 years in April. Well, that's how long I've been doing it. Justin and Griffin were doing the Joystick podcast before that. And what we have found is most, if not all of the material out there as far as like published works about podcasting is very specifically like the business side of it. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to write something that includes that, but is more focused on like you're going to pick a talk and like there's sections on like picking a like topic or structure for your show, coming up with a title for it. Do you have a co-host or not? What is your podcast art? What music do you have? Editing tricks, like how much silence do you cut out? All of these things, like there's a little bit about live shows in there and merch, and there's like a whole thing about monetization when we get to that. And it basically, we wanted to create if you are interested in making a podcast, this will show you literally like start to finish product. And if you're just interested in like listening to podcasts, it'll give you like an insight as to like why decisions were made and all of that stuff. I think that if people find podcasting to be like an interesting thing in general, you will like it. We also wanted to write a how-to book on it that wasn't dry. That was like, it's us and we're silly boys, hashtag silly boys. And so, we wanted to write something that was like fun to read, because I think that podcasting should be fun to do. I mean, the number one piece of advice I've ever given anybody about podcasting is like, there's a chance that your podcast blows up and you end up like making your full-time living off of it and you become a full-time podcaster. But I mean, that's like acting or music or modeling or anything of like, yeah, of course there's a chance that happens, but there's more chance that it won't, right? And so make a show that you really like with people you really like making it with. That way you're having fun with it, whether you're getting paid to do it or not. And it's just fun to do. It's something that makes you happy to do it. And that was kind of the focus of the book, of like how to make a show that you're proud of, that you're happy making, that makes you happy. And so, yeah, that is out today. And I hope people like it. I think they will. I'm pretty confident in it. I think it will be very useful. And, even if you've been podcasting for a while, I think you might learn something from it.
Well, go get the book immediately. Everybody.
Yep.
Right now. This episode's almost done. You can just hit pause right now and go get the book.
Yeah. But
if you don't hit pause, this is what you're going to hear. You're going to hear Hal and I say, these topics are closed, but there are many more topics to discuss. So please reach out to us on Twitter, or
you can email us at wegotThisPodcast@gmail.com, or go to the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/WeGotThisPodcast. Thank you to producer Ken Plume, researcher Kate McManus, graphic designer Uri Kelman, and QA engineer Jen Alba.
And thanks, of course, to our musicians, Jonathan Dinerstein and Mike Furman, for our score and theme song, respectively. And thanks to you, the people of the world. You are the reason that, as Travis just said, Hal and I, every week we do something that we think is fun and we enjoy and we get a great lift out of. And you are the reason that we keep coming back and doing it week after week. And we thank you, thank you, thank you.
Now, just before we started recording, you guys were telling me about how your audience is the best audience in the world. Is that true?
We were. The people in the world are, in fact, the best podcast audience. That has been asked and answered. No offense to the McElroy family of audiences.
No, I mean,
there's a lot of crossover.
You're wrong, but because my audience is the best.
Thank you. For Hal Lublin, I'm Mark Gagliardi.
For Mark Gagliardi, I'm Hal Lublin. And don't worry, everybody.
We got this.
We got this.
Oh, sorry, guys. I was,
Oh!
Jeez. That's not jarring in the least.
No, that's...
The weird thing is we're all just
this is what you see before you die.
We're all assuming that that's Ken.
That's
I'm pretty sure it's Ken.
But what if?
MaximumFun.org.
Comedy and culture.
Artist owned.
Audience supported.